Alright, so now we're going to continue looking at forms of linear equations. With this question, it says find an equation in slope-intercept form of the line that passes through the given point. So I got 2 points, negative 3, 1, and 7, negative 4. So unlike the last examples where they just gave me the slope, this one doesn't give me the slope. But it does give me 2 points so that I am able to find the slope. So just remember the slope formula is simply y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, or change in y over change in x. So I'm just going to use this formula to find my slope. So y minus y, I'm going to go negative 4 minus 1. Remember, it doesn't matter which one you subtract from which as long as you're consistent. So if I do negative 4 minus 1 on the top, I have to do 7 minus negative 3 on the bottom. 7 minus negative 3 in the denominator. So negative 4 minus 1, that is negative 5. 7 minus negative 3, so that's like 7 plus 3, remember, so that is going to be 10. So my slope is negative 5/10, or it's a more simplified way to write it is negative 1/2. Cancel out the 5 with 10 and make it negative half. So that is my slope. And so now what I would do is I would take the slope and I take one of these 2 points and put it into point slope form. Which point? It doesn't matter. Pick whichever point you want to use and go with that. So I'll just go ahead and pick the first point. But if you do it correctly, you'll get the same answer regardless of the point you pick. So remember, point slope form is y minus y1. So if I use the point negative 3, 1, I will do y minus 1 equals m, or the slope, so in this case negative 1/2, times x minus x1, so in this case x minus negative 3, or whenever you have minus and negative you can go ahead and just change it right away to be plus 3, so I'll change it to x plus 3. So now to put this in slope-intercept form, which is what it wants my answer in, I'm going to distribute this negative half across. So negative half times x is negative 1/2 x. Negative half times positive 3 is negative 3/2. Okay, it's still y minus 1. So now to put it in slope-intercept form, I just have to get the y by itself. So I'm going to add 1 to both sides. So on the left side this cancels out. Okay, so I just have y. On the right side, I have negative 1/2 x and then negative 3/2 plus 1. So that's like negative 3/2 plus 2/2. So minus 1/2. And of course, you could write these two as decimals if you wanted to, but I just left them as fractions. So there's my answer. So if they don't give you the slope, but they do give you a couple points, you can just use those 2 points to find the slope and then go from there. Okay. This next situation is one in which they don't give me points or a slope. All they do is give me an equation. So I have 3x minus 2y equals 12. But just keep in mind, to get it in slope-intercept form, it's y equals mx plus b. So I just got to get the y by itself. So that's all I'm going to do is take a couple steps and get the y by itself, or isolate the y. So first step, I'm going to get rid of this 3x. So I'm going to subtract 3x from both sides. Okay. So those will cancel out. Now on the left side, be careful, just because I canceled this out, this negative sign doesn't go away, so it's still negative 2y. And on the right side, I got 12 minus 3x. I can't combine those together, so I'm just going to leave it as negative 3x plus 12. Okay, and now to finish this off, I just got to get rid of this negative 2 that's multiplying by my y. So I'm going to divide everything by negative 2. So that cancels that out, leaving me with just y. Negative 3 divided by negative 2, you can list, that's 1.5 or 1.5, or you can just leave it as a fraction, which I will do. But when it is a negative divided by a negative, I would just go ahead and make it positive, because negative divided by a negative is positive, so I'll make it positive 3/2 x. And 12 divided by negative 2 is negative 6. So there you go. I've got y equals 3/2 x minus 6. Like I said, if you want to put it in decimal form, you could. 3/2 is 1.5. Either way, it doesn't matter. So whenever something's not in slope-intercept form and you want it in slope-intercept form, simply get the y by itself. Just isolate the y.